Hello everyone and welcome to a special edition of Eagle's Eye, a show in which we say goodbye to our fellow JDM seniors. I'm your host Joe Monteith, and today I'm joined by senior Will Currier. Will, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me, Joe.
So you actually started your college career at Kent State. Why did you begin college there and then transfer to AU?
So I began college there because I was actually going for computer science, and then I learned I didn't like math. I was really bad at math. I think the requirement for it was like calculus 3, which was crazy for me. So I was really confused on what I wanted to do in life, and then I thought back in high school, like I loved the morning announcements, essentially like the high school news broadcast. You know, I was talent for it. I did some of the production work there. It was low budget, but it got me interested at least. So my dad mentioned, hey, there's this digital media production program at Kent. That sounds really cool. I was like, okay, I'll look into it, and I loved it. At first at Kent State, but really the reason why I transferred is when the pandemic happened, and we all switched to online in mere like 1 or 2 days, and it was kind of a shock, you know. And my passion kind of died out for a while, and I made that last-minute decision essentially in the fall of 2022 to transfer, and it was the best decision of my life.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So during your time here with JDM, how would you say that the media we have here helped you gain skills for your future career?
I think the media that is offered here, first of all, I'm very interested in broadcast, so that's already a given. I think it's the environment, more or less, you know, and how simple a lot of the shows are. I mean, in general, it's very structured as well. It's simple and structured, so, you know, and the amount of program we have is great. You know, when we crew for John's games, the football games that we do, basketball games, those are all fast-paced shows, as well as, you know, you have the slow-paced shows like, you know, Watch of the Sky. You have the news breaks, the sports breaks that we do. Just looking at all of it helps me a lot, you know, both behind the camera and in the control room as well. And learning the ins and outs, like I didn't even know graphics were a thing. Like I knew they were a thing in shows, but like how they were made, you know, what goes into them and how it's all produced, both in the control room. That is what really interested me, and I think learning all that is going to help me grow immensely.
That's amazing. So during your time here, you served as the executive producer and director of Good Afternoon Ashland. What did you like about that show, and how did serving in this role make you a better media professional?
So I think, yeah, executive producer of Good Afternoon Ashland. First of all, I was honored to get it. What I learned from that role was probably just communication. You know, making sure video packages were to me on time in a timely manner, and also just providing feedback. I think that's the main idea of being a leader, is providing feedback in a meaningful way, as well as sort of producing that motivation to sort of be creative and tell the story. Really, that's what it's all about, is also telling the story, multiple stories at that. You know, when we have news and sports breaks, we tell stories there. But really being more visual with video packages, and also, you know, with the amount of personnel that's involved and all the graphics that's involved, it makes it more personal to the community, and I was really honored to produce that show. And like I said, it's all about the communication. That's the biggest takeaway I think I can take from that show.
For sure. And speaking of directing, that's a role you lean into very heavily for a lot of our shows. What made you gravitate towards that position, and why did you enjoy directing so much?
So yeah, it's funny because at first I came here to do talent work, and I really wanted to be a news anchor. I auditioned, I biffed it essentially, and well, I just decided to do more production work, and I was doing more production work anyway at the time, and as soon as I stepped in the director's seat, I loved it instantly, because again, it's that leadership role. And I love being a leader, not just because, you know, you have like this power or something. It's more or less you provide the motivation and feedback, and you want to produce growth in your people that you talk to. That's the main idea. You know, if we can produce great shows and also grow individually, and I found a role for like that, like directing, I mean, I'm all for it. I was hooked instantly. So I love, you know, that's the main thing I'm gonna miss here is definitely directing, and yeah.
So what would you say has helped you to effectively learn and kind of make the most of your time in this department?
To effectively learn, definitely attending classes. You know, I know it's being in the media department. You know, you have interviews that you know you're scheduled, but you do learn a lot in the class, especially being an intro to, you know, camera work and just production in general. I never touched a camera until I got here 2 years ago, and learning things like your rule of thirds, headroom, all these techniques, how to have creative shots in your video packages and things like that. You know, I learned the emotion of camera angles as well. I took a film class actually back I think last semester, and also sort of like a German film history class this semester. So, and we talked so much about the emotion of cameras, and I think that will definitely help me in terms of like other avenues of my jobs too. You know, there's broadcasts and there's movies, and I think it all helps in the end.
Absolutely. So what's something that you think you'll miss the most about JDM, and what's one of your favorite memories here at Ashland?
Yeah. Oh man, there's a lot. I think the main thing I'm gonna miss here is obviously the people, but that's kind of a given. Obviously, I'm gonna miss everyone, but I think just the environment. You know, having a good work ethic, as well as making everything fun. That is something I've always wanted, and that's sort of what I found here. And that's what mainly drove me to want to direct as well. You know, have fun with it and get good content out. So yeah, and my favorite memory, there's a lot to choose from. Honestly, I think my favorite memory is with you. Actually, I'd say you were my first friend here, so it was pretty interesting. We bonded in Mr. Daniels' class, Ted Daniels, writing for the media, and we found out that his class was really hard. So
It was a hard one, yes.
Yeah. So you know, it was good. I think that was my favorite memory. It was you know, you're my first friend, so it's just like, yeah. I think going back to your roots and where you started is always a good memory. You want to always remember why you started, and that sort of like was cool for me. So.
Absolutely. So what would you say are your plans after graduation when you head out to the quote-unquote real world?
Yeah, so I think my plans after graduation, I love the sports broadcast industry. You know, when I got the crew for some football games here at Ashland, I fell in love instantly with it. It was fast-paced, it was cool, it was fun. And like I said, it goes back to that environment too. But I also like news broadcasts. You know, like I said, I've always been interested in that. So I think what I want to do after, I want to try and stay local, maybe Cleveland, Toledo area. I mean, anywhere in Ohio really. But I'm open to traveling. You know, traveling for other broadcasts. You know, freelance broadcasting sounds fun, but I'm really open to literally anything because, I mean, I'm passionate about all of it. You know, I want to. Something I learned here was work as hard as you can, keep that work ethic up, and just never stop.
Absolutely. So final question of the night. Do you have any advice for students that may be in the program now that want to get up to the level of involvement that you're at?
Yeah, so I think the advice I have, despite anything that you would learn in any program, I think the best advice would be, you know, it's more of like a personal advice. It's, you know, when you're doing something like this, it's an awesome job to have. It's if you want something bad, you have to go get it. And if you have doubts about like the choices that you're making, and you know, you don't want to listen to that voice. You always just want to keep going for that dream, because a lot of those doubts stop you from chasing dreams. So that, like, for me, that is what drove me in this industry. I found like a purpose through like the leadership here that Dr. McCoy gave, and I just kept rolling with it, and I saw an inkling of light, and I kept going. So that's the big advice, is just keep the dream alive.
Yeah. Well, Will, that does it for our time here today. Thanks for sitting down with me here today, and good luck in your future endeavors.
Thank you.
This has been a special edition of Eagle's Eye. Be sure to follow us across social media at AUTV. I'm Joe Monteith. Thanks for watching.